What's up guys, welcome back for some more Cali MK1 content. It is 31 days until Wolfscott, so drop a comment below, let me know if you think I can get this done or not. In the last episode you will have seen I just did some suspension bushings, still waiting for one of the bushings to arrive for that left rear. That is lost in the mail somewhere, it got misdelivered, so that's a few days out. But the other two wheels did arrive in the boxes over there. Still waiting for tires. The tires had to come from England. I couldn't find the sizes I wanted in the States. They had them in England, so I ordered them. And that's kind of the story of this build. I've been ordering stuff from all over the world. The shift bracket that I'm waiting for, that is coming from China. Some of the bushings I ordered, they are coming out of Latvia. The tires, they're coming from England. The caliper carriers and an adapter kit, they're coming out of England too. I did order the G60 calipers, rotors and pads as well. So they should be all arriving here in the next week or so. But yeah, just kind of waiting for parts at this point. That shift bracket is the last piece I need to get the shift linkage in. And that's kind of holding me up on a couple of other things. I don't want to put the drive shafts in or the exhaust in until I get the shifter in, because they all kind of occupy the same space. They all kind of hang out right back there. So I feel like I'm just going to be fighting myself if I put the drive shafts in and the downpipe and the exhaust on. I may try and get the driver's side axle in today or in this episode, but I'm definitely gonna hold off on the passenger side one until I have the shifter in and the exhaust. What else arrived? The stuff for the fuel pump arrived. So a fuel pump, fuel filter, and some fuel line. So in this episode, I wanna get working on that. Before we get on with that though, I do wanna say, my goal for this build with the parts that I've ordered so far is I'm only ordering parts that need to be replaced. There's been a couple of extras that I have ordered that I've wanted to or I need to. Take the wheels, for example, because I'm upgrading to G60 calipers. I need a minimum of 15-inch wheel. The wheels on the car are 13-inch, so they're obviously not gonna work. And I need to order tires anyway, because these tires were all dry rotted. So I need to order tires, need to order wheels for that. And I'm not blowing the budget on this stuff. I am ordering off-brand stuff that I'm finding on Amazon, on eBay, that's just gonna get the job done until I can really tear into it and rebuild it how I want to that show car quality when I get around to it. So having said that, I did get all the fuel stuff here. Let's go over to the bench and take a look at what we have. So I have a fuel pump, a fuel filter. I got a bracket on how I think I want to mock it up. I've got some fuel line, some extra brackets. This is a 100 micron fuel filter, and this fuel pump should be good for the 3-bar pressure that the fuel rail requires. So the 100 micron filter, I want to put that in first, straight off the tank, then into the fuel pump. And then in the engine bay, I will run a 10 micron filter just to filter out any of the really small particulates before the fuel goes into the fuel rail and can potentially clog up the injectors. Right there under the car is about where it's gonna go. The plan now is to get the vehicle up in the air, take a look underneath, see what I'm working with, and kind of mock all this stuff up under there. Once I've got everything mocked up, I'm probably gonna end up dropping the gas tank out so I can clean it out and then put it all back in. Okay, I have a plan. This is the space that I'm working with. This right here is the fuel tank. That's the outlet for the fuel tank. So I have a little bracket mucked up here. It's gonna go something like that with the fuel pump right next to it. I need to get some 90-degree fittings. These straights make it too long. And there is conveniently a stud right there that I can bolt this bracket onto. So I'm gonna try and mock that up, kind of right about there. Fuel pump next to it. First thing I need to do though, I think, is drain the tank. Okay, this worked out really nicely. So let me just run you over exactly what I did. So on the left, we have the fuel filter. On the right, we have the fuel pump. So gas is gonna come from here, loop into the fuel filter, through the fuel filter, into the pump, out of the pump, and through this line here up to the engine bay. You can see the inlets and outlets are pretty much all the same level, so it will gravity feed into the filter, but they are still tucked up inside the body of the car, protected from the elements. So let me pull this little cage out that I built, and I'll show you it on the workbench. So there it is out on the bench. It's just made out of aluminum right now. You can see it's a little rough, but it gets the job done. This extra bracket here mounts to a nice tab on the body for some extra support because the fuel pump is kind of heavy. And eventually I will get this bracket remade, probably in one piece out of steel. I've been meaning for a while to play around with send, cut, send and make some brackets, so this might be a good first project for that. Oh no, I made it worse. Look at my face. That was probably the dirtiest job I've done on a Rabbit so far. Look at the state of me, look at my arms. Look at me. Oh, let me spin this around and show you what I was dealing with. So I had to drop the rear beam off its mounts. Those two studs right there. I had to disconnect the rear brake lines. I was hoping not to have to do that, but kind of glad I did because they were dry, so they're gonna need bleeding anyway. I had to disconnect the filler neck, and then there is 3 kind of breather hoses that come in on the top. This one way at the back corner is a pain to get to. You have to disconnect the fuel level sender, but check it out under the tank. This thing is freaking clean. This is insane. 44 years old. That just shows what you get when you buy a car from California. Let me show you the tank. It's freaking hot today as well. Humid. And here's the tank, so I can empty this out, give it a clean, and it will be looking fresh. Okay, there we have one clean-ish gas tank. The solution that I put in it, you see I swirled it around a little bit, let it sit for about 15 minutes while I cleaned the outside. When I drained it, it was pretty clear. So the inside of this tank is in good shape. Unknown if it's the original tank or not. I'd be really surprised if it is, given it's 45 years old. But then again, did come from California. Lots of other things on this car are really clean as well. So who knows? But at least I know now, I have the peace of mind that the inside of the tank is clean, and I'm not gonna have any issues with filters getting clogged, injectors getting clogged, anything like that. So I am going to clean myself up, tidy up the garage, get some dinner. What's up, guys? We are back after another couple of days working on the Rabbit. Clean myself up. You can see it doesn't look like I've been working down a coal mine again. So plan for today is going to be get this gas tank put back together, put it in the Rabbit. Gotta put the rear axle back on, and then I have my buddy Chris's Audi TTRS in for some brakes and an intake. So I'm gonna knock that out real quick, then we can get back on the Rabbit. And now we have one clean-ish, refurbished gas tank. So it's the end of the day. I spent today working on my buddy Chris's car. After I put in the gas tank this morning, I did a 034 Motorsports 4-inch intake and the turbo inlet on his TTRS. If anybody's ever done one of those, you know it's kind of a pain in the butt. You gotta take the wheel off, take the fender liner out, take a heat shield off, bend a heat shield. So yeah, good 4 or 5 hours putting that in. And then I jumped back on the Rabbit for just the last hour or so. So let me show you what I got up to over in the engine bay. I put in that 10 micron filter. There's a stud on the back of the suspension strut tower here that I use. So it comes, the line from the tank comes in through the filter, under the intake, along into the fuel rail on the top port. The bottom one is the return that goes back to the tank. And then over on the bench here, I've got my fuel pump. I've got my chassis gram, which will go to the stud that is mounting this bracket to the vehicle. And then I've got my positive wire, which is gonna hook up to the relay under the dash. I put on a little bit of hose here. So when this goes in the car, the only thing I need to do is connect the tank into here and connect this one to the hard line that goes under the vehicle up into the engine bay. So I'm gonna go hang out for the rest of the night. I will catch you tomorrow. Okay guys, it's the next day out in the shop. Spent a couple hours this morning buttoning up the fuel pump. Let's take a look. So everything is tucked nicely up in that recess. Got all the hoses plumbed except one. I'm just waiting for some 12 millimeter braided fuel line. The hose I was using before is just a rubber hose. It's kind of soft. So to make that 90 degree, it's quite a tight radius bend. So I need some of the braided stuff that has like the nylon braiding in it that holds its shape a little better when you make a tight corner. So I had to order some of that, but the rest is in. So coming off of the tank, this one into the filter, it'll loop into the pump. out of the pump into the line that goes along the rocker panel to the front of the car. I have everything wired in. As you can see, there's a ground right there on the stud that mounts the bracket. And then in this right here, this is my positive that follows the rocker panel along, tucked it into some of the factory clips, along, following the fuel lines, up the firewall, and across into the grommet up there that goes inside of the vehicle. So it feels good to check something else off that list. You can see there is still a lot to go, but it's a good step in the right direction. And look what finally showed up today. This is the bracket that I've been waiting for over a month. This is the last piece of the shift linkage. So in the next episode, I'm gonna get this in, get the shift linkage in, I can get the downpipes in, the drive shafts in, and that checklist will start getting checked off a lot quicker. So on that note, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed how I put in that fuel system. Like always, please subscribe and like. If you've got any questions or comments, drop them below, and I'll see you next time.